And so philosophically, I've been kind of groomed to not just like let the door close behind me. So if I get an invitation to a party or like if I'm like involved in a project, I feel like this innate obligation to make sure that I'm putting my gang on, you know, my brothers and sisters. And so like that's how I evaluate whether I want to work on something or not. That's how I evaluated if I wanted to take the job at Wieden. Honestly, it was like, will I be able to get on and put on? Like, is this going to put me in this influential position to cast the room?
What is up, Janelle?
What's up, Ronzi?
How's it going?
Pretty good. I mean, look, we're here together.
We're here together finally. We kept talking about it, and the moment it's finally happened.
Yeah, I got the guys out to Portland, y'all.
Wow.
Wow. And not only that, but we have an extremely special guest that we were able to have on this week.
Yes. We have Mr. JP, John Petty
Yes,
III, joining us.
Yo.
Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you for pulling up. Yo, it's good to see you in Portland, man.
I know. I'm like, Portland, how
Look
am
at
I here? Why am I
in
here?
Portland, baby. Let's
What is
go.
here?
And Portland has been showing up for you too, showing out.
It
I mean,
really
like
has,
the rain yesterday, it was like, welcome.
Everything except for the rain. I'm like, okay, this is
It's a vibe.
takes some getting. I ain't saying
Okay.
it takes. I can visit. I can visit
You can
a little
visit?
bit more often.
Okay, let's go.
No, but it does have its own unique vibe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Janelle can visit too, you know, whenever. She's usually on the
Listen,
airport.
I've been
in the airport.
around,
I'm gonna catch
okay?
another flight. That's literally Janelle.
I have been
That's
sitting
right.
my ass down like I said I was going to.
Okay.
You know.
You
so.
did say that. It was like a resolution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
with the dog and everything, I kind of haven't
I
had a
know.
choice.
Where's he at? We should have brought him
He's
in.
downstairs.
I
He'll make an
know, he should've
appearance.
made an appearance.
He'll make an appearance.
He might just
He
walk
can't stay
in,
here
right?
the whole time.
Yeah.
He's down there asleep, so
Okay.
let's let him sleep.
Yeah,
Well,
but
thanks for having me, y'all. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank
Tell
you.
tell the people, I guess, a little bit more about yourself.
Okay.
Like who you are.
Yeah.
your role.
All right.
Who are you?
Well, first of all, I'm a huge fan of the podcast.
Thank you.
I remember listening to it. I remember knowing about it before we met, Janelle, and thinking like, damn, this idea is amazing. And then just like diving in, I thought, oh damn, that chemistry is kind of cool. And so like, it's easy to listen to, and plus it's the world that I live in, so it was really easy to consume it. But anyway, I'm JP, Southwest Philadelphia native. Spent some time in Brooklyn. I graduated from Lincoln University, the first HBCU.
Oh, wow.
Saying the first HBCU.
Never tried to take
I
that
don't
away
know
from
where I should look. Every camera needs to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I graduated from there, super active undergrad, to a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I went on to get my master's from Drexel University in what they were calling at the time industrial project management. Drexel's like a engineering architecture school, so everything's about like process and making something pristine or whatever. So it was cool to do that. And then stumbled into advertising. I was not working in advertising out of Drexel. I was working at a healthcare like project management firm called
wow.
RAM Technologies. It was like terrible. I remember being like not loving it. One day I just was like, yo, I'm gonna quit this job. And I did exactly that.
Oh, wow.
And like 2 months later I was at Translation, which
Damn.
is crazy.
Now, how did that? Okay, wait.
I don't know how that happened.
Literally
God.
a
You know what?
stumble. Right.
Yeah.
Literally a stumble.
No, it was pretty crazy because well, I should say too, while I was at RAM, I was freelance writing for a publication that was a part of the Huffington Post network called Rain Magazine. And there I was like a columnist and also like the person that knew the most about social media. So kind of doing a bunch of things in the system. And it helped me build, I guess, a portfolio. Like I remember when I was like interviewing for Translation, they were like, send over your stuff. I was like, what stuff? I just sent links, right? It was like, oh yeah, I did that. That's pretty cool. And then they called me, and it was crazy too because I thought I wanted to get into music. With Rain, they were like sending me to like concerts, and I was like all the way in, and I was already a music fan, honestly. But Translation was on my radar because Steve Stout
Of course.
comes from the music space, and the work that he's done has kind of like shaped my worldview some. So I was a fan, but I was like, that's advertising, and I don't really know what that is, but Def Jam though, you know? And I actually got the offer coming out of a Def Jam interview. And I was like, man, I wonder if they could wait. Because I remember I was unemployed. And I was thinking, if
Call
translation
Steve
could
Stout
just wait for a second.
Can you just hold?
Yeah,
one
hold
second?
on, put you on hold. And they were like, nah, we're not waiting. This is briefing tomorrow. I was like, guess I'm taking this job, you know? Def Jam will call back later, but I guess translation, best decision, one of the best decisions I've made professionally.
Literally one of those pivotal moments.
It was pivotal, for sure. And it was the lines then too, threw you right in there. And you learn a lot fast at an agency like that, especially at that time. Took my talents to NYC permanently, well not semi-permanently kind of.
You were still going back and forth between Philly?
Yeah, for a little while, like because my life was in Philly. I had bought a house in Philly. My girlfriend was in Philadelphia. Our families were in Philly. So like, I was in Philadelphia, but I was spending a lot of time in NYC.
Yeah.
But when I got into translation, I came. A bunch of people held me down. Like, that city is large, overwhelming, and while I'm from the East Coast, it's just a different vibe. And I spent like 6 years at translation, which is nuts.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, how long were you there? I mean, I feel like that's one of the good things about the East Coast is that, especially the northern, Northeast, is like everything is relatively close. You hear a lot of stories about that, like people who like worked in New York or worked in New York but lived in DC or vice versa.
Yes.
And there's no other place.
If you need to,
yeah, there's no other region that I feel like you can kind of move like that.
That's a fact. You know, like while I was at translation, I wanted to get married. I got married, but there was a point in time where I was looking for a spot to live, and my girlfriend, who's my wife now, was also kind of like at that point in time, and I was thinking like, yo, it's like we kind of in it, so we might as well do this together. But in my mind, I'm thinking, we've been together for a while, probably shouldn't live together if I'm not going to take that step. It's probably time, you know? And so I remember going to her dad and being like, yo, would love your blessing to marry your daughter, but would also love your blessing to prematurely live together, if that's okay with you.
Wow.
And he was like, I mean, but by that time, we had been together long enough. He was kind of just like, yo, it's about time, kind of, you know? Like, what were you waiting for? Money, sir. I was waiting for money, but we moved in together in Northeast Philly, but I still had my job in Times Square at the time. So for almost 2 years, I was going back and forth from Philly to New York. It was nuts. Northeast Philadelphia to Times Square every day for like 2 years.
Damn.
Crazy.
Damn.
But worth it, I guess, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I would say so.
Yeah.
So
My wife's sitting right there.
Yeah.
Shout
out to Jen.
Nah.
So when within that 6 years did you make the jump completely to Brooklyn? Or to New York?
Great question. So it was a little weird. It was a bit of a sandwich because from like 2013 to maybe 2015, I was staying in Brooklyn. We moved in 2015. 2017, we were right back in Brooklyn. And so it was a little bit of a sandwich. And then I was there until the Portland, Oregon chapter, but probably one of my favorite times. Like New York teaches you so much.
Yeah.
So much. Sure. Like lessons you don't even want, honestly.
100%.
You know?
But you need,
But you need, yeah, for sure. Well, some of them.
Yeah.
They owe me some bread, big time.
Some of them you can do without. Like I didn't need that one.
Jersey, though.
Okay, we're not doing that, Janelle. Like we continue to discuss this. It's New York adjacent.
Okay.
My home office.
Bronzy lives in Jersey. What part of Jersey you in?
Currently I'm in Orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So like Central Jersey.
Okay, so listen. I'm in New York every day.
I'm just trying to
NYC
get a
every
label
day?
in. It's
Every
fine.
day.
Who's coming to visit you?
No.
We love Jersey.
Clearly,
We love Jersey.
you
We
lived
love
in New York and
Yes.
you didn't travel to visit people in Jersey.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
Exactly.
So you get to translation. It's your first,
Yeah.
first foray into advertising.
Yes.
What was that adjustment like?
Crazy. you know, the agency moves so fast and they're a group of hustlers. And so they expect, the internal expectation is for you to just be on it, on it, on it. If you're not a fast learner at that time at translation, you probably don't last long. And so like, I was just paying attention to everything that was happening around me. Trying to like, I remember the first time somebody was like, yo, where's the deck? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And that's only 10 years ago. It's like, yo, oh, you mean like like slides, like a presentation. Okay. I think we're working on something like that. Go work on that. Didn't know any of the language, didn't know any of the culture really, but they had really high expectations. So my whole thing was just to work, work, work. And we were there freelancing. It was kind of like a contract agreement. Okay. And they were building this new social team and working on Bud Light and State Farm or whatever. And it was like Game of Thrones because my colleagues at the time, my peers, they were dropping like flies. It was like, we're freelancing you for 30 days and day 29 if you don't get that call. It was great.
Okay.
And so I was just like, we got to stay in the game. It was madness. It was madness.
That sounds like it.
But you know, we survived it. I learned a lot. Moved really fast. Stout was great. Some of the smartest people I've ever met were there. And it was great. It was dope. No complaints really.
Yeah. What would you say was like the biggest, not necessarily the biggest project, but the thing that you were like the most proud of working on there?
The thing that I was most proud of working, I want to say maybe the Defiant ones. It's a string of them though. I remember when we won the NBA. We won the NBA, and I remember being like in the thick of it. We had lost a string of accounts. Anheuser-Busch decided to move Bud Light and a bunch of the other things we were working on out of the agency. And Stout has like ridiculous relationships. Mm-hmm. And when we won the NBA, the reason we got the phone call to participate in the pitch was because Pam L was the CMO. And at the time, she was also she had just like wrapped up her CMO tenure at State Farm. And so we had a relationship, but they weren't taking it easy on us. I mean, it's like you were invited to the party, but you gotta perform. And so we were giving it everything. And I remember when we won an NBA, some publication was like, the relationship kind of sealed the deal for them, basically undermining all of our work. After like they had like for months kind of ripped us apart because we'd lost the Anheuser-Busch account. And I remember taking to Twitter and being like, basically, fuck that publication and you editor who wrote those words or whatever. Yeah, she screenshotted that and sent it to Stout directly, and Stout was like, who is this kid? At the time, we didn't know each other. It's like, who is this kid? He doesn't understand how this thing works. I was close to fired then, but I was just trying to be like I thought I was like repping the gang. Didn't understand the rules of the game, and I was close to fire, but I was so still kind of proud of that moment, you know, because it was like, yo, I'm like.
Well, you must have done something right because you didn't get fired.
I didn't get fired.
Right, I'm glad you brought that up too. Like the rules, understanding the rules.
The rules.
Which we kind of talked about yesterday, you know, when we were talking about.
Okay, yeah.
The Friday.
Yeah, the unwritten rules.
Unwritten rules of this thing are crazy.
Yeah.
Because nobody really was the point of like, you know, you just got to learn them.
Right.
Which is nuts.
Right.
Crazy. But anyway, I'm proud of NBA. HBO The Defiant ones, that was a really cool one for me. Like, we stepped right into that one. Song for the fan. And then Budweiser Made in America, which was happening in my backyard in Philly. Right. So to come back and work on that thing, come back with credentials, you kind of like the man.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So how many people were hitting you up trying to ask?
Mad people.
Oh my God.
Like I had like all my friends from like Abbott Elementary through, you know?
Right.
What was that transition then from, no pun intended, from translation then to Wieden? That was the next step. Right?
Yeah. So we had like, in 2017, we had started launching, well, I should say it was 2016. We started working on the launch of United Masters. And this was Stout wanting to be back in the music business. And by this time, like we're close enough where he's like hitting me, and we're working in a team on this thing, and this was the time too. I was coming from Philly, and so like I just look like a super dedicated employee. I'm like working on translation side and United Master side, and we were doing some pretty cool things, but it felt like burn. It felt like a lot of churning, you know, and it didn't feel like I was getting the receipts that should be coming from an effort like that. That said, I could have done that job for like another 10 years. But when Wieden+Kennedy called, I had to take it because Wieden is like, you know, Wieden+Kennedy at the time, and they're rolling. Like they got a great reputation. I didn't really know about them when I walked into translation, but by the time I was, you know, 5-6 years into translation, it's like, you kind of know because this is the work that you're competing with. You know, that's your competition. Yeah. And so, yeah, when I remember walking into those interviews and thinking, this is very not translation. When I first walked into translation, I walked in with a suit. And they're walking around in like leather jackets. Everybody's looking at me like I'm fucking crazy, right?
Yeah.
And that was clearly not the vibe. Very not buttoned up. But Wieden+Kennedy is a bit more buttoned up. You know, I walked into the New York office and it was a vibe, but it wasn't like translation. And I remember thinking, damn, hits come out of here? You know, because all I know is like, it should feel like a label kind of energy.
Exactly.
And that was what translation felt like. Wieden New York did not feel like that, but everybody was super professional. Like everyone I met was just like, oh, this person really knows what they're doing. It's like watching the Yankees practice, you know? It was like that.
When you got there, were you hired for a social media role or like?
Yeah, I was. When I was leaving as a director of social out of translation, and they were hiring me for a head of social role and a head of social strategy role. And I was gonna inherit like 7 or 8 social strategists or whatever. And they had accounts, they hadn't really cracked it. At the time, the managing director and executive creative director of Wieden New York, Neil Alter and Carl Lieberman. And they were like, and I was straight up with them. I said, what you all do is not my game. I'm good at something else. And so I just was interested in why they were looking for someone like myself. And they were really clear. They were like, well, yeah, that's the brief. Like, we feel like we need to be better at the thing that you do. So we're hoping that you can come in here and help us upgrade, help us develop some muscle that we're not really good at. Like, see, Wieden, they're good at like great, big, spectacle, anthemic work. Still, I would say. They weren't really good at like participatory, culturally charged work. You know, like Nike dropped something, it's kind of cheating because it's like, yeah, that's LeBron James, that's Serena Williams. Yeah. Everybody was already talking about this thing. And so I was always looking at them with like a raised eyebrow, like, yo, they're good, but how good are they though? You know? And listen, I think everybody at Wieden+Kennedy does the same thing. It's because the internal expectation is actually higher and more ridiculous than the external expectation at a place like Wieden.
Oh, wow.
And so they embraced me with open arms and it was off to the races. It was a little weird though. I mean, like when I started, I think it was right around the time Nipsey passed away. And I remember thinking, man, in translation, this would be a holiday. We wouldn't be here today. But everybody around me was kind of like business as usual. That's when I really like had the battery in my back to kind of like stick my foot in the place a little bit because in the creative space, you want people who are aware of their surroundings in that way and working that into the work, you know, bringing those perspectives to the work. So it was kind of like I remember that being like a pivotal moment for me.
That's an interesting pivotal moment because I get 100% what you mean. Like if you're not if that didn't affect you, like the work that we're trying to make, that I feel like we're trying to make, is affected by that. So like if people are in the room that don't even know who that is, let alone like aren't affected by his passing, then it's just like we're not speaking the same language.
Yeah, I remember being really sad. I remember being like, well, one, being affected because this is Nipsey. Also, Nip was like super interested in the United Masters, so we had spent some time with him, and he was like, I remember he spent an entire day at Translation once, and we were just like chopping it up. He was like telling us about victory that was in progress, and so I felt like connected to him in that way professionally. We were working together, but at Wieden when he died, and no one was like, well, I shouldn't say no one, but like the majority were kind of like, unaware or unaffected, and I was like kind of low on Wieden at that point,
Yeah.
It's tough.
So then instead of kind of like, I feel like a lot of people would check out or like quiet, what is it?
Quiet quit.
Quiet quitting.
Oh, nah.
You went the complete opposite.
I'm not a quiet guy. I do remember like psychologically being kind of like checked out for a minute there. Not nothing crazy. Not on the work, but on like, this isn't really what I want to do, And Rock Nation was calling too, by the way. Like they were like, it was
said
serious.
They were coming back.
It was serious. Yeah. It was serious. And I remember Neil Arthur, our global CEO now. I remember him seeing me in the hallway and be like, "Yo, how you feeling, man? You all good?" He could probably tell that I was like, "All right." He was like, "Yo, remember, man, we trying to like." Neil's really good at the whole like gassing you up thing. He's like, "Yo, we trying to take this shit over. It's like this is Operation Takeover. There's nothing in our way." And then when he said that, it was like, "Damn, you might be right. Like, you flip this shit. Like, let's get the people in here we want to work with, and let's create the vibe." And I think that was the thing where I just like stepped into it. I just was like, you know what? I'm a leader in this agency or this office, or at least they recognize me as such. For me, it's just going to be about like relationship management, making great cases, and committing to the work.
So was that before or after? Did that lead to Bodega, or was Bodega?
Bodega.
You knew it was coming out.
Yeah. Let's do it.
What is Bodega?
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about that first.
What is Bodega?
Right.
So Wieden+Kennedy, because they weren't very good at again, like what I was good at, they could also read the room. They saw the whole industry kind of moving in a different way. And they were a little late to that. Like I said, when I was 6 years before, I was part of like this emerging media team at Translation, and we were rolling on that thing. But we would also find ourselves in these rooms where we're sitting across from like partner agencies for everything. There's an experiential agency over here, that's TE. There's a PR agency over here, a media agency over here, and a social agency over here. And all of despite the client saying that Wieden+Kennedy is the creative lead in this thing, the creative opportunity was everywhere else.
Right.
It was like, oh no. We would come and be like, we're gonna do this dope thing at like Coachella or whatever. And the experiential agency would be like, you do the spot.
Right.
You work on the 60-second thing.
I just had a flashback to like an IAT I was on with Wieden that went just like that.
Just like that. It goes like that all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, when we're thinking about the big idea, we can't get around thinking about like how this idea is gonna come to life. And like, what's the first tweet you're gonna see or whatever. It's like no way around that. But the way the way the dynamic was, we kind of had like our role, and we were supposed to lean into our role. And Wieden saw that. Wieden New York saw that, and they were like, "Yo, we got to develop something that helps protect us from this, because that tweet turns into a Super Bowl spot, and then a T-shirt, and then an event series or whatever. So we have to protect ourselves from this. Also, we want to do the dopest work. Like Wieden has ridiculous creative appetite. So Neil briefed me and was like, "Yo," Neil and Carl both were just like, how can we grab some of that real estate, And the way my brain read it was, okay, so how can we put like X and X agency out of business, And so we started building like this internal social creative studio, which we call Bodega. And it's basically like an agency within the agency.
Right.
And it's crazy because the way we describe it is not dissimilar from the way we describe Wieden. It's just the output is very different. Our way of working is very different. I would say it's a bit more modern in a way.
Yeah.
More collaborative, more iterative, way less precious about the creative process and the output, because
You have to move fast.
we have to move fast, and then our partners, our clients, they want in on it too.
Yeah.
They want to see how the sausage is made. So gone are the days where you could just go into a boardroom and cook up a manifesto and come back and be like, here's the beautiful thing. That's dead.
Yeah.
So Bodega is actually helping the agency embrace a mindset that is more future-proof than the one we had before Bodega, you know? And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about Bodega. It's lit now, you know? Yeah. It allows us to hire different types of talent. I think historically, Wieden+Kennedy was a really tough agency to get in as a creative. And it still is, I'm not gonna lie, but now we're looking for different types of creative. Right. And so we've kind of democratized that whole like entry into Wieden thing. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Got you. So you're like what you were talking about earlier, your entry and your pathway into marketing, advertising, you stumbled upon it.
Yeah.
As a kid, were there any ads or advertising that you saw that was just like, oh snap, like I love that. That's speaking to me in some way. What was that?
Yes, absolutely. I say like my whole thing, well, I told you I'm from Philly. My whole thing is like work that the people can see themselves in. And I remember it was probably like 2001, 2002, 2001, the Sixers were really good. Yeah, you're a Philadelphia sports fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah, Allen Iverson, GOAT. Greatest of all time. He was really good. And at that time, he had a Reebok deal. Well, he still has a Reebok deal. But at that time, he was working on his signature shoe A5. I remember watching the finals and seeing.
Which was this? Was this Lakers final?
Yep, Lakers 2001 run, which was crazy run for us.
Yeah.
We kind of swept. Allen Iverson MVP, Coach of the Year Larry Brown, Defensive Player of the Year Dikembe Mutombo. We were kind of Aaron McKee, who was from Philly, played at Temple, Sixth Man of the Year. It was kind of lit for the Sixers that year, and we went on a crazy run. We gave them moments, but we had the Lakers on the West Coast who were just like blowing through people.
Right. I remember that.
And anyway, I'm watching the playoffs finals, and I see this commercial come on. It's for Reebok A5. Jadakiss is rapping. I hear the track masters drop, and I immediately gets my attention. I'm like, what the fuck did I hit the?
What is this?
You know the Tubi commercial. You know, I hit the remote and shit. Yeah. I thought I hit the remote. I thought we were on another channel, right?
Oh, BT's on.
Yeah, because exactly.
Trackmasters. Yo, check them out. It's the new A5s. You gotta rock them. They even put a zone in the league to try to stop him. He's the answer and the problem. You don't want it with the way that boy go to the hole and take punishment. The young boss of the cross for 4 quarters. And from 3-point land, he's all water. Matter of fact, call him the king. The way he breaks down the defense. It's like he got the ball on the string. And he will blow by you fast. Penetrate and dish it off or let it go high off the glass. All you need is a pair of these. Nothing else. Your hesitation and stopping Papa be something else. Trackmasters and J to the bar. I keep an extra pair in my car in case y'all want to take it to the park. High percentage, I'ma make it from the arc. Take it from the heart. This is Kiss talking to you. The A5 limited edition. Reebok bought them to you. Even on the court we stay fly. Jada and AI. Make sure you go get the A5s. Even on the court we stay fly. Jada and AI. Make sure you go get the A5s.
So this is between like a Tide ad and a Gap ad or something. And it's just like, wow.
Culture.
Yeah, it's like, man, this is crazy. This is crazy. Hype Williams directed this thing. And these are like all of my favorite people. Jadakiss, Trackmasters, Allen Iverson, and Hype Williams.
All in this one.
For Allen Iverson, and I'm in Philly, I'm like, man, this is it.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is, but I want to do that shit. You know?
Got you.
And it was like just a game-changing moment for me, transformational moment for me. And I remember going into it, I remember studying that thing, like who was a part of this? Who made this? Stout's name is somewhere in those credits for sure. And so, yeah, that was the one. I would say that was the one. But there were a few others. I mean, Nike had some amazing things as well. A bunch of really dope stories from Nike for sure. But all of my favorite ideas were coming from my friends, man. Like my friends had like amazing ideas. They just didn't know how to execute them.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's wild. I vividly remember that spot as well. So when it comes to like cultural, like our culture and advertising, how important is it to keep like our foot on the gas? Because we have to own our narrative.
Yeah, that's right.
And you're starting to see a lot of advertisement that's not coming to us, but it's pulling from our culture.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
even more so now, like across the globe. And it's like, why are y'all saying not me, whatever the phrase
like what
is?
are y'all
Like,
doing?
how are you pulling from us, and it's just like you taking it, you run with it.
It's fucking ridiculous.
No regard to like, oh, that's from black people.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Man, so when I started at translation, there was a book, Tanning of America, that Stout had written. And he essentially was making like everyone who worked at translation read it as well. And I remember reading it like, damn, this is crazy. So this has actually been happening for a really long time. Like people who are outside of the culture have been trying to tell these reflective stories. They've been trying to tell reflective stories, but it's not like, what is this?
Yeah.
You know? And the thing is, it's like this space, this industry has been like gatekept for so long, man. Like Mad Men is real. Like the image of the team is like that. It's still like that in a bunch of ways. They just are wearing less suits.
Yeah.
You know?
Not
So
drinking
somebody
less,
should
though.
Check on Men's Warehouse. Say it again?
I said still drinking the same amount though.
Yeah, still drinking. Drinking more. But I guess what I'm saying is like it's really important for us to keep our foot on the gas because if we're on the outside, we're not gonna have those moments. I was like, I don't know, I was like maybe 11 or something when I saw that spot, and it's like if that spot doesn't exist, am I sitting here speaking with you about this today?
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know, probably not. You know, and so it's not just about like telling the right story, but it's also about like inspiring the right people to kind of be in the spot too to help fix this like really ridiculously massive problem, which is it's not for us. The game is not built for us. And so if we don't get in there and try to fix that thing, we're perpetually on the outside.
Right.
And these are our stories we need to be telling anyway. Like nobody gives a fuck about whatever story that is over there. The sauce is in our stories.
That's a proven fact. That's why
they
keep trying to come to this side to tell the story. And
yeah,
it's
that's
like,
right.
That's not yours to tell.
Get the fuck out of here, right? Yeah. Like we could talk about like, you know, what you look like and where you came from, where you were born and like how you identify. But really, if you don't have like an understanding of the audience that you're speaking to or the community that you're trying to serve, you're gonna do some super whack shit.
Yeah. 100%.
And there's so many examples of that. Like,
that's
that's what we talk about.
That's what you talk about.
Yeah.
That Mitchell and Ness jersey dress thing that y'all was talking about. I don't know if that was the last episode or a few episodes.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Right.
And I'm from Philly. Mitchell and Ness is a staple in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
When I saw that shit, I was like, what the fuck is this?
They need a rebrief.
Yeah, like just scrap the thing. Let's start over.
Yes.
What the fuck is this?
Call somebody that knows. You clearly don't, and whoever you work
I think
with.
they thought they did.
Yo,
and there lies the issue.
I love Janelle. Yo, I love Janelle.
I'm sorry.
And there lies the issue, though. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I too think they thought they did.
Yeah.
But the issue is like, how closely are you involved? Like, what do you understand the community you're trying to serve thoroughly?
Yeah.
Do you have people contributing to this thing who have the credibility to contribute to this thing?
Yeah.
The answer to that is probably no.
Something that I often think about that kind of merges both of those last 2 points is like when I was at TE, a lot of what we got were like multicultural briefs, right? And it's
big
just
fan
like,
of TE, by the way.
well, I'm sure Coltrane appreciates that. But like, is the era of the multicultural brief like? Should that be over? Is that over? I feel like it kind of should be over, right? Everything is multicultural at this point.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's like it's not a real thing. It's a thing designed to kind of put baby in the corner.
Yeah.
You know, and quite frankly, manage money and like keep a really close grip on, like make sure this thing doesn't get too carried away. That's why there's a label for that.
Yeah.
Stout is on this heavy right now. Translation, I just saw Translation won like Multicultural Agency of the Year or some shit like that. Congratulations to y'all, by the way. But I know y'all don't want that award. I know you don't want that award because you don't love what it does for the agency. Yeah, but it's reductive and it's also ignorant too because we live in a multicultural world.
Yeah, especially when you got all these brands that are on Twitter talking about it's lit and all whatever.
What
like,
are you talking about?
Who are you Who do you think you're talking to?
Right.
You know what I mean? But
right.
But also, something that I also reckon with sometimes is like, what brands then do have? I don't want to use the word the right, but like the right to speak to us, and in what way? Like what criteria do you need to check off before you can come in those spaces, speak to us in a particular language, and we be like, all right, it's cool. Like, why was it cool for Reebok to do that, but then like?
I think it should be hard. It should be a barrier to entry.
Yeah,
I don't
easy.
think you should just be able to come up on the scene and have the right to. I think you got to put in the work. And I think what made it right for Reebok is everything he mentioned. There was the right components for it to tell the story. There are the right voices, and that's when it becomes right.
So my question is then, you work with a lot of brands on a daily basis. Yeah. Not all of them have that right or have attained that right. So when they come to to a JP or to a Bodega and they want to be a part of culture, how do you inform them that work has to be done before you can like authentically speak to this?
I like add Janelle to the meeting, or like, no, honestly, in all seriousness, is you just have an honest conversation with them too. It's like, you can show them, like, unfortunately, we've got a ton of receipts for this thing going wrong. And so you can just show them like references. Hey, before you jump out of the window, you should see this thing from Michelin S. You can just show them like mad receipts of like. Unfortunately, you can do that, and then the blowback from that, not just like culturally or socially, but also like financially. Like when brands step in shit, it hurts everyone. 3 or 5 people at least should be fired, and then like maybe if you're a publicly traded company, you start to see that stock price go the other way, and then like Black Twitter is all over your ass, and nobody wants that.
Right.
Like nobody wants that.
Yeah.
That's like my approach. My approach is, hey, you're talking kind of crazy. You got to do some work. First of all, I see this Zoom room right now, or I see how this meeting is. Where's the client in the leather jacket? Like, which one of you is gonna like be the champion on this one and ready to fight that good fight? And on our side, we need to make sure that our room is like, can match that energy. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna talk big shit.
Yeah.
So our side, we got to back it up that way, And if we're not built like that, then this isn't a great brief for us. We're gonna walk away from that.
I guess then, last question though before we switch to
another
another segment.
Okay.
Your shirt, you have.
Oh, my God, put on a shirt. Yeah.
Can you? I mean, I feel like that's a
that's
philosophy.
my thing.
Yeah, that's your philosophy.
Yeah.
Around kind of like, work and all the spaces that you move within. Can you explain that a little bit?
I can, yeah, for sure. So like, I in the intro, I didn't say I'm also the oldest of 4, and so, my mother she taught me so much about like what it means to be a leader, essentially. Like I say all of the time, like we would walk through the door, and if I was going first, if I was like the line leader, if I just let that door, like it would have been a million times I wanted to let that door slam in my brother's face, but like if I let that door go and my sisters didn't get a chance to walk through, then that would be my ass. That's just like one example of like, you're just gonna get like one burger off the grill or something like that,
Yeah.
And so philosophically, I've been kind of groomed to not just like let the door close behind me. So if I get an invitation to a party, or like if I'm like involved in a project, I feel like this innate obligation to make sure that I'm putting my gang on, my brothers and sisters. And so like, that's how I evaluate whether I want to work on something or not. That's how I evaluated if I wanted to take the job at Wieden. Honestly, it was like, will I be able to get on and put on? Like, is this going to put me in this influential position to cast the room? You know, the proverbial room.
Yeah.
And the answer to that is yes. And all of the projects that I get really excited about, the answer to that is usually yes. And so that's a core belief of mine. Like, that's my personal philosophy. And it kind of guides and directs everything that I do. And if it's not there, then I don't want it.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that message.
Thank you.
We should love that message. And we should take that, for real. That's important.
Get on, put on. Yeah, because
Get
there's a
on,
lot of
put
people
on.
out here who like get on.
Or
period.
they like to be the
End of
exception.
sentence.
They like to be the one in the
Yeah,
room.
they like to be the exception.
And they put those guardrails up.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
man,
won't say it out loud though.
Yeah, they never do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
It's like some bullshit. It's one of those. It's one of those bad rules. It's like, bro, you know, everybody eats. Everybody eats, B.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not that person's fault. It's like the system's fault. It's just a product of their environment. It's like, oh man, you think that you could be the only one here. That's tough. I've met a million people like that, enough people like that, and that's like not great for the greater good. That's like detrimental. And so like also too, like I have like these aspirations to be like, you know, the next Clarence Avant in that way. It's like I want my tree to be ridiculous. We were watching an interview with Soleil Bembury the other day, and he was telling this story. And we were thinking, like, BK and I were watching it, and we were thinking, damn, no Soleil Bembury. And it takes a minute to get there, because you're like, wait, how does that work? But if I were to like outline this tree, it'd be crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you say you worked for Yeezy, and we might not know you if not for that role. You've had a million roles, but like, man, do you even know that like without Yeezy, there's no Ye without these guys or this thing that they built, and like I just want to do that intentionally.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's an interesting correlation, because I feel like everybody always talks about the web from like Kanye to like all these people, but it's just like
Kanye has to come from somewhere,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And sorry, no disrespect to Dame Dash. Dame obviously plays a part, but also whoever precedes him as well. You know, no, Irv Gotti, no Rockefeller. I could keep going up. You know, and I want to be a version of that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. So that wraps like our interview and our intro.
Okay.
We haven't done one of these in a really long time, right?
No,
But
this
that
is
was really
lit.
good.
I'm such a fan of Witcha Black ads. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get into the hot shit.
All right, so we're gonna jump into Above the Fold, which is a segment you're
I
familiar
love
with.
this segment. I love all of these segments. Let's go. Let's do it.
All right, so you want to kick? All right, wait, let me kick this one off.
Okay. Yeah.
So
You got it.
you're aware that Adidas ended their relationship. Well, it seems like it was amicable between Beyonce and Adidas to end.
I don't know shit about Adidas anything.
Wow.
No, I'm joking.
Okay, great. I know. You're obligated to say that.
Disclaimer.
Right. Disclaimer. This is where we put one disclaimer.
Yeah.
But they decided to end their relationship
Ivy Park
because
relationship.
obviously, Ivy Park, those sales numbers weren't giving with.
Yeah, we should talk about
expected.
that.
Yeah.
We should talk about that.
Yeah.
Because it's feeling like we were like subject to like a narrative, a press thing now, right?
Right.
Because it was sparking like barbershop debate everywhere. It was like, yo, Beyonce, and it was just like the timing was crazy because Rihanna's a beast when it comes to like converting, but Beyonce's Ivy Park, we remember the popularity. I know y'all talked about it,
Yeah.
but it's like that the stories are.
Yeah, but I also feel like with Rihanna though, like Rihanna has never had any real success in like the clothing space, right? She had her LVMH Fenty line.
Oh, Fenty? You don't think that's a smash?
It's working.
Fenty, the clothing line, like the.
Well, I guess. So you're not counting like the lingerie. You're not counting like the lounge.
Yeah. Okay. But our thing with Beyonce, like Ivy Park with Adidas and the athleisure of it all, just never really made sense because.
I never seen her jog. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly.
But I will say that very first Ivy Park on the other side, like when Adidas got involved, that was like nuts.
Yeah, those
was-
seating kits and everything. That was a
amazing.
moment.
That was not, I wanted for a brief second to have like some Adidas,
Yeah.
you know.
I just wanted the box. I'm like, oh, look.
Oh yeah, that box is crazy.
Box, like
Yeah, right.
people bringing it
It was
in like
crazy.
ice sculptures and stuff like that.
Yeah,
come with it.
and like it was fun to watch who was getting what, like, you know. But Beyonce Yeah, I know. I was just saying, like, the stories. We saw the conversation around, like, it's not going too great, and then
The news.
then it was like, oh yeah, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah. And then she posts on Instagram, was just
Yeah.
like, fuck Adidas anyway.
Right.
Because we over here in Paris, right?
Crazy.
So she announced the launch of a 16 outfit collection with Balmain,
Yeah.
however you pronounce
Balmain.
it. Balmain.
Olivier.
And each outfit kind of correlates with a song on
Renaissance,
Renaissance. Yeah. So
What's the label called? It's called Couture. What is it called? What's the name of the collection?
I mean, it is a couture collection, but I don't.
okay.
Yeah, I think it was just like the Renaissance
Okay.
collection. But are we considering? Is this still part of like the album rollout?
I think when it comes to Beyonce, anything she does, and there's an album that she's putting out, it's part of the album rollout.
Yeah, it's like a chapter.
Yeah,
It's like this
all
is the
works
Renaissance
together.
chapter.
So this is Act 2.
It's going along with Renaissance, so it's attached to that body of work, so it's part of the rollout. We still ain't got the visual, so it's part of the rollout.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Man,
this is
she
the
said- she said-
hot topic on this
Look at these
podcast.
outfits. Look at these dresses.
Look at the dresses. You get no visual. Look, this is your visual.
Yeah, right. This is better though for Beyonce, I think, than Ivy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And this is also just like a collection. It's an artwork.
right,
like this is not going on sale. Nobody's wearing these pieces.
Right. I mean, no one wears
It was
couture.
just meant to hit headlines.
Although that would be amazing if you saw people just walking down the street and then Beyonce
Oh yeah, I
bop.
wouldn't be surprised. Now you know what you're gonna see when you go to the Renaissance tour. People are gonna have like remakes and everything of those outfits.
That'd
they
be
can have
amazing.
it.
That'd be amazing to see. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Y'all going to the show?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Where y'all?
I'm
Where
going
you
to
at?
DC.
DC?
Yeah.
Miami,
Of course.
of course.
Of course, yeah. We're going to Philly. We're going to be filling
going
the
to
floor.
Philly?
Shout out to my sister-in-law who got floor seats
Oh, nice.
in Philly.
Amazing. I think
Crazy.
the last time I saw her was in Philly. No, maybe second to last time.
I saw her.
Greatest city on the planet. Why not?
Well, one question I did have is
Yeah.
Ivy Park, now with the relationship being separated from Adidas, does she take it elsewhere with another co-brand? Does she try to do it independently, like direct to consumer?
Or is it
dead?
That's a really good question. Because it started at like Top Shop, right?
Shop, yeah.
And then they moved over to Adidas. To go to a third spot would be kind of, I don't know. Like, are people asking for Ivy Park? You think people are going to miss it?
No.
Okay,
I personally don't, but I think I could be biased just because I'm not a Ivy Park fan in that way. So I don't know if I'm looking at it from a lens of, but the numbers don't lie either.
Yeah, I was gonna say like her fans weren't,
Yeah,
like
they're not
Ivy
really
Park-
digging it.
Yeah.
If they, I mean, it's no need to take it out elsewhere. But you know what I would love to see? I would love to see her kind of just hold on to it, and if she ever wants to do anything with it, then she doesn't have to share any real estate with anyone else. Like, and look, maybe it's not Beyonce, but Ivy Park as like an entity, it does have some equity. It just has to come from a different storytelling lens. Like my brain right now is trying to like address the brief. It's like, if we keep this brand, what do we do with it now?
Yeah.
I would love to see, because you can future-proof your family with something like that. Like maybe Blue is not like her mother, and she treats Ivy Park differently.
That's kind of like where my mind goes to. Like, how do you make it more of a long tail than something that's more immediate?
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, maybe future-proofing it.
Yeah.
Maybe Blue, she's the whole aesthetic and
Yeah.
situation herself, and it's like, oh, I'm bringing this brand back.
Wow,
to
that would be
y'all
crazy, right?
And look at how it is now.
Yeah, so
more.
She can put that on ice for Blue Ivy, and then like the 2000s are having a moment, and we can get House of Darion back.
Oh,
Oh shit!
House of Darion. Yo,
Bring Mama Tina back in the fold.
I have so many,
You know?
like we should, okay, yeah. Would you work on Ivy Park? If we got a phone call that was like Ivy Park, would you be like,
Have I ever said no?
no, yeah, well, no. Well, not to projects, but to working with people, yes.
Well, I'm not
You'd
gonna
be
say
like,
no to working with Beyonce. So yeah, sure.
Yeah,
The
that's right,
pressure
that's
on that one though.
I just feel like
Would
if
you?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, of course. I would just be like, yo, what are we doing with this thing? Because it needs a bit of a. We need to redefine it a little bit. Get the right people on that, man, and around it. I would try to do what they've been trying to do with Jordan for years. We got to democratize this brand. It can't be Beyonce's brand.
Exactly. That's what I said the other week too. She can't be the face of it.
Nah, yeah. I mean, I mean, yeah, it's always going to be Beyonce's brand, but from a storytelling perspective, let's get some people close to this thing. You know?
Yeah. Well, I think sticking with, your favorite brand, Adidas.
Yo, what is happening? Okay.
Jokes.
Disclaimer.
We're just gonna have a disclaimer.
Yeah, just
in front of
disclaimer
every
this
single
thing out.
topic.
Like, I'm good off the stripes.
But it was announced that they were suing Black Lives Matter, and then they
I saw that.
They withdrew their suit.
I did see that.
Number one, what were they thinking in the first place? Like, how do you sue Black Lives Matter? Regardless of how you feel about, like, Black Lives Matter Incorporated,
platform, right?
Yeah. But, like, who told them? Like,
As a brand, you should have been like, oh, take it. You can have it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's just
it's not the same usage, whatever.
That's a terrible strategy. If anything, they should be getting closer. Like, I don't know. Yeah, regardless of how you feel, Adidas is a powerhouse infrastructure. And I'm sure Black Lives Matter as an organization could use some of that infrastructure. If we see anything that happens like that, the solution wouldn't be a lawsuit if we were working on it. Like if I was working on that thing, I would have done it totally differently. It's like, yo, let's get them on the phone. This kind of looks like our thing,
right?
Yeah.
But let's talk about how we like. I'm not mad at that, by the way.
Yeah.
And that could have been cool, but especially given Adidas' history in the Black community, I mean, Run DMC. Arguably, if that moment doesn't happen, if Adidas doesn't jump out of the window and say we're doing it this way, we don't get Reebok A5. We might not get that.
Right.
We might not get like Travis Scott McDonald's or Sweetie McDonald's. We might not get those things. So Adidas, they definitely fumbled the bag, but that's not the first time. They fuck up like that all the time.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about. It's like, how do you get the permission to talk to us? It's when you take an opportunity like this that could be chaotic.
Exactly.
And you say, let's get on the phone.
And
let's
flip it.
figure out what
Right. That's right. But it's nobody in there thinking like this is obvious to us. Yeah. And it'll be obvious to the block too, the blocks that we come from. But the boardroom is just shaped differently.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
I also think that it speaks to something we talked about on the last episode, is like these brands and like keeping their promises from 2020, right? 2020, they would have never even thought about this. I think they think that we're in like a post Black Lives Matter world.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, we can get away with this now.
Yes.
And
they're like, hell no, you're not using these stripes.
Yeah. So like, how do we keep these brands like honest and keep their foot to the fire in terms of speaking to our communities and like, when they think it's over, it's like, okay,
we gotta
check,
stop fucking with them. Like we do it all the time. We keep fucking with them. It's like every time. It's like every time we go back. It's as if we need them.
Yeah.
They need us. We keep fucking with them. Like it happens all of the time.
They don't really feel any of the truth sting when they do.
Yeah, we don't feel it. We gotta hit them where it hurts for real.
Yeah.
And we don't really do that. And then when they come back, and if we're open to it, we need to overcharge them for what they did, And so we don't really do this. We don't do this as a community, but I think it's because we have our aligning is tough for us as a community too, because
it's hard to do.
It's not easy. Yeah. Checks over stripes though.
Yeah. Speaking of checks over stripes, I'm sure you have heard and you saw like all the news around the more recent like Cortez and Nike collab. So Cortez, the brand, the black-owned brand out of London. I think they had like 2 colorways of the Air Max 95s. And then they dropped in New York with Out of Home, which I know you love. That dropped the coordinates for where people can go get the shoes, and then it was like a mad dash through the streets of Times Square.
That was nuts.
It was. When was it? Yeah, I was like, when was the last time I saw hype like that? You know what I mean?
Probably Ye.
You think so?
Probably Ye. Yeah, Ye had people in parking lots digging through trash bags.
True.
Oh,
that was nuts.
Yeah.
And that was not that long ago.
That was like yesterday.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that was like that Cortez and that was crazy.
Yeah.
You don't think it exists like that anymore, but it does. Like you see little stuff like that. Little flashes like that. And that energy exists because, I mean, we were just talking about Beyonce tickets. That's what it was like when they released. It just wasn't like a physical thing. So virtually you feel it, you see all of the conversation, you see you know what that feels like virtually, but to get people physically running down the street in Times Square is crazy. Like, and then I think, but to answer your question, last time I remember seeing this, probably that Gap thing,
What's the formula to get a response like that?
So I think Cortez has done a really good job at like super serving their community too. And because they're from it and they're really clear on what this group is and what they believe and the culture to which they subscribe. And so they're always adding that stuff and co-authoring the brand with the community.
Right.
And so when you do that, and Nike's got a long history of doing that as well. You know, you think all the way back to, you know, Charles Barkley saying, I'm not a role model, or like Spike and Mike, or like, you know, a lot of the work that we've helped them do at Wieden+Kennedy, they've done. Yard Runners is a good example of this. But like, you know, when two brands that have that degree of empathy and like have that co-authorship in their DNA come together and do something like that, you can expect it. I think you should expect that type of result. But most brands don't. Most brands are trying to like speak at their community and say, this is what we're doing
and this is what you should want.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, like shout out to them, because I'm like, they had just, you know, I was kind of like slow to learning about Cortez, and like
me too.
Until I saw, you know, I had heard about them, but then when I saw that, I was just like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
They got kids
see
over
this
in
Wikipedia
New York.
page. Yeah.
Let me pull up Wikipedia.
No, you said no, that's
where,
real.
and how.
I think what that signifies though is like, I think between that and like collaboration like McDonald's and Cactus Plant Flea Market and like, you know, a bunch of others, I'm sure. Like, I love the direction we're moving in that way. I get excited about like those brands that are kind of like, kind of get it, like All Cap Studios I'm a fan of, or like Tier NYC or Visionary Society, which I'm a huge fan of. Like these brands, they get it, and they're not close to being too big where they're doing whack shit yet. And so like to see like big, massive conglomerates pay attention to what would traditionally be labeled as like small fish is amazing.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because I feel like a lot of times you'll be in rooms or you talk to brands and you bring up a smaller name and they're like, you know, they don't like the smaller name, but you're trying to tell them like, no, but this is what like the culture is gravitating towards, and these are the people that are actually like making culture. And so like to you,
that's right,
you're looking at the wrong thing. Like what your barometer of like
that's right
big is like this number, like, and you can't really quantify their impact
on
in
culture
that way.
Yeah. I remember we were in Wieden+Kennedy, New York, and we were working on the Sweetie meal. And this was like my favorite meal. I was like, because the idea actually comes from like a live that she did. There was an extension idea that was like, and then we're gonna do these McDonald's bags and they're gonna be like Birkins. Hermes is gonna design them. And one of my social strategists, Eddie Geraldo, who I love, who now has to pay me for that, shout out. But he was just like, yo, that's not it. Yo, we should think about Brandon Blackwood. We should get Brandon Blackwood on the phone. And I remember the team being like, that's not Hermes, that's not a Birkin. And Eddie just being like, yo, no, I think you guys, it's like right here in front of us. And so we get on the phone with them, and I remember them being like, oh my God, like McDonald's.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of made it, you know? Yeah. And they were lit. I mean, this is a point in time where they were already, like Brandon Blackwood as a brand, it's kind of like lit for us, you know? And I remember them being so proud. And I also remember being proud that the team, we had somebody in there advocating for an idea like that. And then our client just being open to it after like rounds of convincing, you know? But we had given them hits already, but they were like, okay, never heard of the brand, but yeah, like if y'all say it's lit, then let's do it.
That sounds amazing.
Right.
So they do exist. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Clients like that do exist. Our McDonald's clients are amazing in that way.
But I also think just McDonald's as a brand, they have a long history of great advertising to our community anyway. So
That's
I feel
true.
like it's not a foreign concept, or doesn't take a lot of convincing when you do
That's
have
true.
them in the room to be like, oh, this is the idea that's going to speak to us.
Oh man, like I'm like 99% with you. That whole like not convincing bit. Like I don't want to be on the record saying that because those teams work really hard to do that thing. I remember when we were so many war stories, but Cactus Plant Flea Market, for example, that took like almost 2 years to sell in.
Wow.
But I mean, the result is what the result is. It's kind of worth it, but man, it's like you don't work on the World Cup that long.
Yeah, right.
So they definitely have like our immediate clients are amazing and they always hear us out. But that organization is so layered,
Yeah.
and where the power sits is so like all over the place.
I got you.
It's not an easy thing. Like our owners and operators didn't know who Travis Scott was. Like there are people who own McDonald's that didn't know who Travis Scott was. And so like, this is gonna be a long journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
After the campaign, they're like, let's do it every 30 minutes.
Right.
Like, where's the next Travis
Right,
Scott?
right.
You know?
I guess so. Then hits beget hits, right?
Yeah, that's how it works. Bad boy shit, real bad boy shit. It's like, yo, no, we got, this is what we doing. That worked, right? And if you can point back to that thing, they want more of it. They always want more of it, you know? And if you can earn us, we're really hard. Like, this might be a controversial take, but we're really hard to lose.
Yeah.
We were just talking about it kind of. It's like,
Yeah.
when you got it, we're not easy to earn, but when you got them, it's like, oh, we're rocking with you.
Yeah, right,
you know?
right.
We give you too many passes sometimes. It's like, don't give them that pass. Don't give
Yeah.
Balenciaga that pass.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So we talk a lot about, or lately we've been talking a lot about AI, right? You got the
Yes.
chat GPTs of the
Yes,
world,
yes,
and this,
yes.
that, and the third.
Yeah.
And recently it was announced that Levi's,
yeah.
in an effort to increase diversity with their models, would rely on like AI models, right? They thought or they think that is the solution to their diversity issue. This is another one of those things where I'm just like, how? How did we get here? How do you think?
Levi's can get the fuck out of here. Like, somebody should be fired for that. Like, I don't know how we get to that press. Like, how do you get so far along where,
How do you get so far along?
like, yeah, like, you know, it had to go in front of mad parties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the part that's like just
My
incredibly
thing is like,
baffling.
when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Like, I'm like, they knew what they were doing. They did this on purpose.
Oh, okay.
You just want somebody. No one was
give-
talking
you
about
give them
Levi's
too
and
much
how
credit.
long. Come on. Like, come on, say anything. Anything.
Outrage marketing.
Yeah.
Outrage marketing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
I mean, if it is from a place of, I know that brands are all about reducing inefficiencies and you know, trying to be a bit more efficient when it comes to processes that are
Sure.
redundant. Great. This is not what
That's
that
not
is.
it,
This is
yeah.
not what that is. If that's what you're telling me. And if you are doing something that's AI generated, then there's a way to go about that as well. Like
Yeah,
you
I
take an
agree.
actual model, you pay them for their likeness, and then you use their AI to do the modeling.
Or yeah.
If that's the increase in diversity,
Yeah, I like
it
that.
needs to be us still, or the diversity aspect that's incorporated. Somebody got to be getting paid.
That's crazy, right?
Like you're not
Yeah.
about to create these robot models
Right.
that are black. You took, you know, this nose, these lips, this body type.
And you got
No.
white coders behind it. Or you work
Yeah.
with like a brand like a Spatial Labs, which is owned and operated by a black person that's in tech. Then that makes sense. It still does not, you know, negate the need for diverse models or anything like that. But, you know, like,
There has to be
Just-
more to the conversation than y'all are just going to create.
yeah, we're going to increase diversity this
Diversity
way.
by, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not-
crazy. I think it could have been better if like you said, like if it was like an incubator, or there was like black and brown, or like a program that they were designing with like, I don't know, public high schools or HBCUs or something like that. Maybe, but it's just poor taste. I saw a
Yeah.
few of those screenshots and I was like, yeah, this is just bad taste. How does it get this far?
Yeah,
Yeah.
emphasis on maybe. I think the technology for AI, they're going to try to sell us into so much.
Yeah.
There's
That's true.
a lot of those maybes, and I'm scared. How many people are scared?
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I heard a Jay-Z verse.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
AI,
See, I've seen
and
a
I'm
bunch
just
of that.
like, are you kidding me?
What do you rate that verse?
Damn. You got me. 10 out of 10. No,
Okay.
it's nuts. Nah. Janelle and I had this running joke. Janelle, myself, and a few others had this running joke. She rated God Did, Jay-Z's verse on God Did at 8.3, which
That's
I thought
good.
was like ridiculously underrated.
I think that's a great rating. That is something to, you
It's
know,
a 10 out of 10.
What would you rate a 10 out of 10?
Yeah, like what's your
I don't know, something Trick Daddy did.
Oh
Something Trina
God.
did.
Okay,
I don't
so we don't need to. We don't need
Carisha,
to-
please, is a 10 out of 10.
Right. Okay, so we understand where you're going.
Yeah.
That makes sense. now.
Yeah. All right,
what?
sorry.
Cool.
But you're absolutely right, Bronzy. I think we gotta be. I am scared, but not scared about like the use, but I am scared of how we use it, how we weaponize AI, and this is like one good example.
Yeah, and then we were also talking about some of those commercials. So there's even I forget who it was. Bruce Willis, I think it is. Is that who I was talking about? You know, he has dementia now, so like his
I saw
character. I mean, like him as an actor is like it's not going to be existent anymore. And they were talking about the possibility of taking and reading like his voice, his mannerism, his likeness, and being able to repurpose that in film using AI. So things like this are things that AI is capable of doing.
Yeah.
And if that's where the conversation is going, that's just like
That's nuts, right? Did you see James Earl Jones? He did like a deal where he's basically like licensed his voice out to this AI lab or generator.
Really?
And basically, like whenever it gets used, there's like a royalty situation. It'd be pretty cool.
yeah,
Well,
that's what they're trying to do with Bruce.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I feel like that's a little different because James Earl Jones is in his right mind and can consent to that,
yeah,
right?
that's right.
Whereas like Bruce Willis cannot, is my understanding at the moment, right?
That's interesting. What if he had a power of attorney where he's already like, this is my partner, this is my like whoever, and I want to live on forever. So.
And also, so my family continues to be set.
Yeah, right. Are you good with it?
Again, it's a slippery slope.
It is.
It's a slippery
It is.
slope.
It is.
Because I mean, I would love to like bottle like Morgan Freeman's voice forever. Like we should have
Just
that
listen
forever.
to it.
The voice of God.
Good morning.
Right, literally. That's my alarm.
But yeah, it is a slippery slope, and we're already seeing it with like deep fakes and stuff from a political standpoint and
Yes.
stuff. So like,
Yeah.
without the regulations, like, politics and stuff never catch up to technology. They're never going to be fast
God,
enough to catch
no.
up to technology, and so there's going to be a lot of damage and misinformation, more so than we already have in that realm. You know, entertainment, like yes, that's scary, but like I don't think anything's scarier than like the politics side of it.
That's going to make us more valuable, though. That's going to make human beings and like intellectual property in this way like way more valuable because it's going to push us to the edge. It's going to make us be more bodega than anything else. Make us be more like collaborative and more empathetic, I should say, in our storytelling. I'm looking forward to seeing how the man versus machine thing plays out.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, we were speaking a little bit about brands that are like do it right and have like an authentic way in and speaking to us. And we talk a lot about Telfar. Telfar. They get it right when it comes to just
they
like their
really
messaging,
understand
their
this.
content. I don't know how they put out that, turn out that level of content as frequently as they do. But recently they announced the introduction of their live pricing model, right? So basically everything that they
I saw
sell
that.
would, they're marking it at wholesale, and depending on the demand, it could reach whatever the retail would be, but it could be as low
Fluctuate,
as
yeah.
it could fluctuate and be as low as
Stock market, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Love it. Future retail.
And then wherever it sells out at will be the price of that item forever.
Yeah.
Like that's what they'll list it at.
Yeah, that's the future of retail. I think, StockX as a platform is kind of onto this thing, but they're a step removed from the most influential piece to that play, if you will. Telfar doing this is. It goes back to my point. I love to see that because there's going to be like a larger conglomerate that's paying attention to that, and they're going to want to get closer to that, and that's going to make everything better, you know? And so like, I'm excited about that, but I'm also nervous too, because like, we love Telfar in my house, and
But I mean, I feel
it was
like
already hard to get.
Yeah, right. Like, what is the expectation really around that live pricing model? It also depends on how much supply there is when they go to market with these drops to
but I
determine,
don't-
like if they release 100 items of one thing, then of course it's going to reach, like what's the scale? Like how fast does it reach?
But the thing is, I don't think that the price has the opportunity to ever go higher than they were already selling it. They're already selling it at retail. The only opportunity is that it's lower than that.
Right, okay, cool. Even in that situation,
It was already selling out. So like,
It's not going to be lower than that, but that's what makes them genius. For the business, it's kind of genius, because you know what's actually happening is, and by the way, I wasn't getting we weren't getting our orders for weeks anyway. Like,
I was gonna say, I got my shit.
Yo,
You need to hit customer service.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm a fan. I like what it does for the model. We'll see though. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think it also like underlines their whole mission. You know, it's like Telfar is for everybody.
Yeah.
They're completely against the whole exclusivity model. Whether that's true or not, you know, because it may be exclusive because of quantity of, you know, of inventory, but like at least the consumer facing message is like, this is a brand for everybody. Anybody can get,
brand.
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And that's the brands that win. The brands that aren't trying to own their whole thing and are building it with people around them, those are the brands that win.
Yeah. Shout out to Telfar again.
Shout out to again.
again,
How many shout outs has Telfar gotten
I
on
think
this?
so.
Telfar,
Every
do you
other
need our
episode.
addresses? Because
Yeah, like send them the care package.
we
What are
got
we
you.
doing?
we do a lot of, you know,
We need clothes to wear on the podcast.
Yeah.
And then the last topic we have in Above the Fold is just more of an overarching conversation.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a lot of conversation around TikTok and the potential of it being banned in the U.S. And you know, they had to speak before Congress and things of that nature. But I think one of the only industries that relies heavily on it, or like you always hear it synonymous with TikTok, is the music industry.
Yeah.
So what does the music industry do in the event that TikTok is banned? Because I feel like they have gone all in on TikTok, and for whatever reason, brands tend to do that, where whatever is hot, it's like forget.
Yeah, we running this
There's
way.
no such thing as Twitter
Yeah, what are we
strategy
doing?
anymore. No one has a Twitter strategy. They
how many times have y'all heard TikTok in y'all's briefs?
Every brief.
What's the TikTok idea?
Yeah.
Hashtag challenge.
Oh God.
Not anymore.
Right, not anymore. But you know, like they barely even want to talk about Instagram, you know, and then Be Real came up for a hot minute and it was like, oh, do we jump on that way? You know.
How does that work?
But what happens if TikTok goes away?
Well, one thing about the music industry is it's incredibly resilient. It's been here before. So like, you know, they'll figure it out. TikTok, it was here. The music industry was here. And they're not super innovative. They're more, that industry itself is a more reactive industry. They wait for things to happen around and then they're like, okay, we're doing this now and we're doing this now. And so it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll suck for like the creators that don't have machines behind them to help figure that out and like really operationalize it in enough time to kind of keep up. But it'll only suck for a minute because I would argue, no music industry, no TikTok. You know, and I know that's like, that could be hot. I'm not trying to.
It's hot.
Yeah.
Disclaimer.
I mean, no.
Yeah, it's
We just gonna have
disclaimer.
like a hot take meter.
Yeah, a little hot take meter right here.
Yeah.
But no, but honestly though, like it's broken so many artists. I don't know, like and not, these artists are not small artists anymore.
Right.
Like Little Nas X.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a little TikTok credit on his like his figurative Wikipedia, for sure. But like, so I think the music industry will be fine. The brands have to get better at not being so attached to like the latest thing. They've got to get really good at their core conviction and how that comes to life, and all of the ideas that are born out of that conviction comes to life. It's like up for grabs. It can't just be like, we're all in on TikTok now. That's like not. That's never been like.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what the difficult part is about especially jobs of agencies, is because you have to be good at so many different things.
You should come to our agency and say that.
I mean, it literally, I'm glad we will. And then not only do you have to be great at a lot of different platforms, but even within the platforms, you have to know them in and out. You take a platform like Instagram, it's not just one strategy. You just don't go to Instagram and be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. You have to have a real strategy, a still strategy. Then you got stories. Now you got all these other tools baked in it as well. So you can have one Instagram team and then one TikTok. You know what I mean? As far as strategy is concerned. But everything you're saying about that, I don't think that the U.S. can ban TikTok. If you look at kind of like the amendments and all that, you talk about freedom of speech and all that. And then is it baked out of xenophobia? If that's the conversation. And then our politicians, they know nothing about technology. Like some of the questions they were asking the CEO in the hearing.
That was crazy, right?
It was like, are you hacking into my Wi-Fi?
Yeah, like, are you accessing my Wi-Fi?
Yes, you're on a phone in the house. You're connected to Wi-Fi. You don't know how the basic foundation of that works. But then, you hear so much of the stories that are good coming from TikTok. Like you're saying, these artists who are independent, they go out there and they have so much reach because it's built on a content graph.
Right.
Am I selling y'all in? It's like, no, it's built on a content graph, so it's not about who's following you. You reach so much more of a community that's already leaned into whatever type of content that you create and make. So
that's true.
That's the beauty of it. And until something else comes along that kind of has that sting.
I love your advocacy for TikTok right now.
Long live the renegade.
Do either one of you remember a day where you didn't know what TikTok was?
Wow.
I can't think of one when I did.
Wow, that's what we're
like
that's what you came here to do? Is that it?
Nah. I'm good.
I think it's like a clock app or something.
Yeah, it's like a clock app. Nah.
Hamadi.
Nah. But listen, it's always going to be something new that comes along, or like a new ad or feature. Like you were just saying, Instagram didn't start with all of those features, so now this platform is vastly different than the one I met. Right. But if the dynamic or our relationship with TikTok changes, I'm sure the music industry will find another outlet.
For sure. All right, so you're in the hot seat for Guess That Spokesperson.
Love this
week.
segment. Love this.
We hope you can pull through. You know, you got a lot of people that's dependent on you.
Okay.
So no pressure.
Okay.
Janelle, take it
All
away.
right. So the brand this week is The Gap.
Gap.
All right, Gap. 3 clues.
Okay.
The first one. This member of a group is actually from your hometown. While they were one of the top selling groups of their time, she is known for she's very infamous for a couple of things.
Okay.
One of which has something to do with Clive Davis. She might have held him hostage. And then number 3, there's also a clip that goes viral and circulates quite a bit that kind of breaks down the finances of the music industry.
This is a good one. I think it's a good one off the dome. I think.
But you got it.
Feels no. I don't got it. It feels like it should be in my wheelhouse though.
You get 3 questions.
Okay. You said this person was in a group. Is the whole group from Philadelphia?
No.
Okay. Is the group TLC?
Yes.
Okay. No, yeah, I mean. Okay.
You gotta say your name.
All right. Look, I don't know. Lisa Left Eye Lopez.
Oh, yes. How did you get it?
Okay, yeah.
What gave it away?
It was Clive Davis.
Oh, okay.
But I'll say like my wife went to Girls High, and she was kicked out of there. All right, and
Not surprising.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. And then like the business of music was and launching United Masters. We were like all over all of that stuff. So yeah.
All right. See, look. See, we didn't go too far.
I was sweating, dog. I was sweating. I was like, oh man, this sucks. Okay.
Well, that's actually our first guest that spokesperson.
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
Put it
Making
on.
history in this junk.
Literally, quite literally.
Let's do it.
And then we always end with going with your black ads or that ain't it.
Yes.
And
So I bought a list. No, I'm kidding.
Another disclaimer. Let's get it.
I think it's only right that you kick off the poll
Okay.
of what we talked about this week. So we have Beyonce, we have Adidas suing Black Lives Matter, we have the Cortez and Nike situation, we have Levi's and AI and Telfar, and then the whole
Definitely Telfar, like going with your black ads. It's like this is gonna be great, not just for Telfar and not just for like brands like it, but industry at large. I think definitely an amazing shot that they put up with that.
Yeah.
Love that. That ain't it. It's just like close your eyes and pick one. Adidas, definitely, but also like Levi's, get the fuck out of here with that. Like that definitely is not it. And then I just want to just take a moment to shit on Michelin Ness again for that campaign. I just did not like that. Like,
That's the first two.
like I'm going back.
You weren't even on the agenda.
He wasn't even on the
Yeah,
agenda.
like I was
We
just
gotta double
like
back.
I just want to go back and like, come on, man, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know, tough.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to retweet that.
Okay.
Telfar for sure. And I mean, you could take either one, Adidas or Levi's. You know.
Right.
I know Adidas walked it back, but still, you only walked it back because you know.
Yeah, you felt the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and double back, but I'm gonna give it to Adidas because they also ended the relationship with my girl. So it's like
gang.
double homicide for me. So yeah.
Okay, Adidas.
But Levi's, you definitely on like the shit list.
Yeah. So are you giving Beyonce going with your black ass this week or what?
Beyonce always gets going with your black ass.
Yeah, right. Just generally.
She would have to do something that is incredibly disdaining.
Where's the
which is,
visuals though,
you know.
Rozzy? Where's the visuals?
Okay, she actually, that ain't it for that.
Okay.
Oh my God, you got him to say what?
That's crazy,
That
right?
ain't it. But I don't know.
Okay.
Hopefully I can retract that statement when she comes
It's
in,
too
in all
long.
of
It's
her
taking too
Virgo.
long.
Yeah, something. I'm like, she gotta have something cooking. You know. Yeah,
It's taking too long.
Maybe she wants to resurge right before she starts the tour. So everybody's like hype, really, really hype again.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? Who knows what's going on in that brilliant brain of hers? But yeah, that wraps up this episode of Witcha Black Ads. It was an absolute pleasure to
Dang,
sit
thank you
down
for having me.
Thank
I'm very
you so
excited.
and be on with us.
Yo, thanks for having me. Really proud of this thing that y'all built, man. The thing that y'all built is amazing, and big plans for With Your Black Ads. Like, I cannot wait to see the rocket ship that is on. It's a take off. It's gonna be crazy.
Thank you.
For
Thank
real.
you.
Congrats,
We can't
y'all.
wait either.
I know. We'll be taking off from Portland.
Yeah. Yo, all right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
y'all.
See y'all.
That's what the fuck I'm talking about. God damn. That's what I'm talking about. It was so black ass. It was black